relatively simple to say, but it really is true. And that just adding, a lot of people say, oh, we'll just have this site. We'll call it, chuckfishman.com, and all the users will come and create tribute videos to Chuck, and it'll be really interesting, right? The reality is it's actually not all that interesting. But when you have professional content that you add, people actually care. And we show here is two identical communities that started, and we put it back to the same time. One went totally with just pure UGC and had no content whatsoever, zero, right? And had a phenomenal brand, quite frankly, but zero content. They didn't want to put any content on. The other is a community that happens to be in the music industry where they said, okay, we're going to add professional content, and we're going to keep adding, and we'll use it as a lure to drive, to drive audience. And what you can see here is that where you add professional content, things take off, right? And by the way, if you were to still show this, this other community basically ended. It went and died, right? And it was outside of music, and it just belly flopped. Because no one cared to go there, the one that's in music has gone through the roof, right? And so what we know is that, and we have more data points to show this, but that users come for the content. Now, what happens is they stay for the UGC, right? And so if you have an integrated UGC experience, it will get users to stay and be more engaged, right? Which allows you to do more things with users. It sometimes causes users to give you their data, which is good. It also helps users frame themselves so they can say, oh, I just come here to watch videos. Cool, now you know something about that user. They're just there to watch videos. Give them videos to watch, right? Whereas other users will come to comment or blog or whatever. Give them that, right? And so we think social is an accelerator. It's not the main meal, right? And we have enough data now to actually conclusively show that, right? That sites that purely rely on social, even with a good brand, don't work. But sites that put out great content, it actually works. And we can get into it later. We'll have some more data around this. Okay. So at the end of the day, what do you do to grow a digital business, right? And I think it's basically 4 steps at the end of the day, right? The first thing is that the core that media companies have today is great brands, right? It's the core of what they have. Right? They have these phenomenal brands that attract users just by opening the door, right? And so the key is to maintain the value in those brands, right? And drive value in those brands, right? The second thing to do is to drive traffic. How do you do that? Content, right? Don't hit them with your software development expertise. Hit them with content, right? Give them content around the brands they care about. Ultimately, collect data so that you can understand what your users are doing, and then use the data to drive value. Use the data to figure out who's joining fan clubs. Use the data to figure out who's buying merch. Use the data to figure out who wants a premium experience, who wants a non-premium experience, right? Who just wants advertising.
Where to route your tour. Where to route your tour.
Yeah, right. Who's going? Who wants to go? Who can't get in, right? And be able to create programs, packages, and services for these people based on who they actually are, right? And to get off the addiction of looking at surveys to figure out who people are, right? Know them and build stuff for them. And this is the last slide, and then I will we'll go into more discussion mode. But and I think with engagement, ultimately, you get this range of opportunities. You get monetizing, merchandising, tiered subscriptions. Ultimately, that exist around all this stuff, and that what we can do is to create the new, right? We can create new ways to be able to do new things, so that we get to this place of new business model, new content, or both, right? Rising out of what users actually do and arising out of the content that's there. And so that's, my pitch.